Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. My name is Chris Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. I'm demanding how you discipline your public employees at the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office when they abridge the civil and constitutional rights of innocent New Yorkers, of innocent Americans, of innocent citizens like me. I have never committed a crime. Now, I've already sent you the Freedom of Information Law document where I'm demanding to know how you discipline your public employees at the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office. And I'm going to love it if you tell me you have no disciplinary process, because that's what I expect. And you're going to refuse to comply with every one of these. And the reason why you're going to refuse to comply is that you're both Kool-Aid drinkers. Drink the Kool-Aid. This has been a phrase in American life for 40 plus years because of what happened at People's Temple in Jonestown, Guyana. And at People's Temple in Jonestown, Guyana, its leader, Jim Jones, and his followers were blind to the truth, blind to decency, and blind to justice. And you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, are blind to the truth, blind to decency, and blind to justice, as are your employees. Your employees are fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths. And that's Jim Jones right there. You are at a Jonestown at 47 South Fitzhugh and 130 South Plymouth Avenue in Rochester. This is what was sent to you. Today's December 4th, on December 2nd, by your disciplinary records. And it was sent to you on November 30th. So it's the third time I'm demanding it on YouTube. On YouTube. That's the way people communicate with public officials. This is a valid means of communication, and I'm going to be sending this to you registered mail return receipt. So you have it from my Gmail account. You have it on YouTube. That should be enough, but that's not going to be enough. Because you're not accountable to anyone. You don't acknowledge citizens demanding public information. This is not a Fortune 500 for you. This is not Microsoft. This is not Home Depot. You're public employees. Your entire existence is tax dollars. And I'm demanding how you discipline your public employees using the Freedom of Information Law. I'm demanding the most recent copy of the list of salaries at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office. And I'm particularly interested in your six-figure employees, a six-figure cop. This is why the New York State Controller needs to audit you, Sandra Doorley, and you, Todd Baxter. And I'm confident that when the New York State Controller audits you, he will definitely find unethical practices and possibly illegal practices. And as you know, especially at the district attorney's office, there is a fine line of distinction between unethical and illegal. I'm confident at the district attorney's office and at the sheriff's office, you're guilty of unethical and illegal practices. I'm confident that's the case. I'm just a citizen. I'm just a voter. I don't have any regulatory power over you. But there are individuals that do have regulatory power over you in Washington, D.C. and Albany. Please refuse to comply with every one of these Freedom of Information Law documents. Please. Because that'll enable me 48 hours, 72 hours from now, be back on YouTube demanding the same thing. And then when I send the transcript from these YouTubes, a valid means of communication with elected officials, I'm going to say I sent them all these documents and every single one they refused to comply with. How do you discipline your public employees, Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter? Are you so arrogant that you can claim you don't discipline your public employees when a prosecutor goes, for example, into Penfield Town Court and doesn't talk and an innocent man is delivered to jail? What's her name, Sandra Doorley? You're refusing to tell me her name. End of You a 5'2" three-piece suit boy who also doesn't talk. Is Jessica Wagner still employed at the district attorney's office? She's the defense attorney for this violent dog, Jermaine Bennett. Your employee, Jessica Wagner, cut a deal for a guy that snapped my head back at the gym, this violent Doug, and the attorney for Jermaine Bettman and James Molly at Penfield Town Court. I'm charged with harassment second, sitting in the back seat of Andrew Reality's Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicle, the $79,000 a year hack who has been fired by Todd Baxter. I go to jail being charged with harassment second. Jermaine Bettman, because of Jessica Wagner, walks right out the door. I didn't see her name on the payroll. She's still employed? Because what you have there at the district attorney's office, I'm using her because I'm confident of other employees at the district attorney's office doing this, which she was guilty of doing. Is serving as a defense attorney for a violent dog and criminal such as Jermaine L. Bettman. I do not know if he has a prior criminal record, and his deal was cut by Jessica Wagner. You're going to refuse to comply with every single one. Good. I'm ecstatic that you're going to refuse to comply. And I'm ecstatic that you're going to be descending on me again with the concoction of new crimes because of what I'm doing to you on YouTube. You watch me on YouTube. How do we concoct another crime for this citizen, Chris Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield? It's exactly what you're thinking. It's exactly what you're thinking. As I exercise my First Amendment right. Isn't that right, Layla Kumar and Nairaj Shah? Again today, Layla Kumar and Nairaj, at 7 a.m. like I always do. I'm out front on my front lawn getting ready for my morning run. Saw a guy walk through the parking lot, my neighbor. Are you running off to the sheriff about him? So I'll get to the accusatory instrument about you two parasites in the parking lot that you supervise, that I've walked through 4,000 times. And the reason why Monroe County Sheriff Office never heard my name is Dr. Gloria Nichols was in your building, and she would see people walking by all day long. And she's not running off to the sheriff like you two parasites. Walking through a park line is the accusatory instrument for me. How's that a crime, Shannon Meyer? Fire her ass, Todd Baxter. Fire this corrupt hack, Shannon Meyer, $67,000. What I'm about to read right now for you, first one, applies to Shannon Meyer and Andrew Reality. The disciplinary process for these two in the concoction of harassment second, well, I'm not harassing anyone, and criminal contempt for me being outside for 30 seconds to tell someone on his track that nobody owns the land next to my residence. Andrew Reality, Shannon Meyer should be subject to the disciplinary process in your office. If you have a disciplinary process, because I don't know. I'm demanding if you have one. Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter. Freedom of Information Law. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. The internal disciplinary records or documentation for employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter is disciplined or reprimanded or terminated from employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. There's my name, the date, December 4, 2020. Requester, I am the requester. Christopher Chichester, C. Chichester, J04, Gmail, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Penfield, New York, 585-678-9291. What's not to understand? Bald-headed, party-switching fraud, Todd Baxter, who can't keep inmates such as 8 months pregnant Aaliyah Burden from escaping his custody at Strong. How does Aaliyah Burden escape your custody, Todd Baxter? Was there discipline for these two employees that worked for you that allowed Aaliyah Burden, a 19-year-old pregnant woman, to escape? What did you do? The answer to that is nothing. Freedom of Information Law. The internal disciplinary records and documentation of employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley has disciplined or reprimanded or terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Perry Duckles. Let me check to see what you make, Perry, as I use your name. I just want to be sure, Perry, what you're paid here. Let's see, Perry, $129,525. There's your salary right there, Perry. So, Perry, my experience in bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. and Albany is that the person at the head of the bureaucracy, such as your district attorney, is totally ignorant as to what's going on. And the number 2 or 3 is some senior person knows what's going on. So, Perry, I'd like to ask you a question. Does a prosecutor talk in court? And what's the name of the female prosecutor? As I appeared in Penfield Town Court twice before John P. Lomenzo and Junior Paul Lomenzo, he didn't talk either time. Does a prosecutor talk in court $129,000 a year? Perry Duckles. Send me the documentation that you're going to receive. It's a public proceeding, and you will refuse. And you're also going to refuse this. The internal disciplinary records of documentation of employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. The District Attorney Sandra Doorley is disciplined or reprimanded, terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. How do you not discipline or reprimand or fire a public employee, an assistant district attorney, who goes into a courtroom anywhere in Monroe County and does not talk as the handcuffs go on an innocent citizen? Prosecutors talk in court. Am I right, Perry? Do prosecutors talk in court? How is it possible to be delivered to jail and the prosecutor doesn't talk and just stands there in total silence? Doesn't matter to you, Perry, as an officer of the court. Do you remember, Perry, when you were, I'll guess, 22 years old, and you decided you wanted to take the LSAT and apply to law school? Do you remember the feeling you had? I'm going to guess what the feeling you're feeling at that age is that you had an altruistic feeling about the law and how the law works in a civil society. Do you remember that, Perry? Remember what it was like when you took the LSAT, when you passed the bar examination, when you were hired at the district attorney's office, or if you were hired for a district attorney's office in another jurisdiction? Do you remember that? Do you remember how you felt about that, about the law? What does the law mean to you, Perry Duckles? How is an innocent man, an innocent American, innocent citizen delivered to jail and the prosecutor doesn't talk in court? What's the name of your prosecutor who doesn't talk in court? When I get to that freedom of information law and I read it, you're going to ignore it. Your boss is going to ignore it. Does not matter to you, Perry. I don't guess that you love the law. It does not matter to you that my civil and constitutional rights have been abridged by fanaticism and hatred. Every single public employee at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office is paid with tax dollars. This is not monopoly money. I have a copy of the district attorney's payroll, obviously, and the sheriff's office payroll. You know, Leela Roque came in here with a blue grill up, some special investigator who's not on the payroll. So somebody's coming in here from your office, Todd Baxter, executing a search warrant, going to my father's dresser that he had from when he was a child in Brooklyn, finding nothing, and exiting with my Chromebook that I still haven't gotten back yet. You're going to be concocting new crimes for me. There's no doubt about that. The payroll that I had that Leela Roque didn't take out. I'm demanding a new payroll so I can look at the new payroll, compare it to the ones I have. I want to see how you gave raises. How's that work? $5,000 raise, $10,000 raise, $15,000 raise. Perry, before you were at $129,000, what was your salary? When I ask you that question, you know, I can tell. I know what you're thinking. I'll guess what you think I should say because I believe in the precision of language. Who the hell are you asking me that question? It's exactly what I believe you're thinking. And salaries every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Todd K. Baxter, who doesn't know what political party he's supposed to be in. Just like a certain district attorney in Monroe County who doesn't know what political party she's supposed to be in. She'll say anything. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Sandra, does the prosecutor talk in court? You go to court? Do you appear in court ever? When was the last time you appeared in a courtroom, Sandra Doorley? Do you remember? You were reelected, served one term. When was the last time you were in a courtroom? Go to court and get that experience. You are at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office are snakes in suits. Because I don't have civil and constitutional rights. Penfield, New York, Monroe County. It's just snakes in suits. Six-figure snakes in suits. And your six-figure snakes in suits can also augment your six-figure salaries. by working a 41st hour. I was a public employee in Albany, Washington, D.C., in Albany for the governor, majority leader in Washington, D.C. for Congressman Morris Smith, Olympia Stump. There was no overtime, no time and a half, nothing that can be defined as earning money beyond the salary that you negotiated when you're hired. So on the list of salaries here at the district attorney's office, for example, David Dice, $103,599. Is that what you make, David? $103,599? Robin Catalano, $113,465. Do you, Robin Catalano, make $113,465 and that's it? What do you, Robin Catalano, earn if you work a 41st hour and beyond? Is it still $113,465? Such as Andrew D. DeLiza. Andrew, you're paid $108,824. You're wanted Todd Baxter, six-figure cops. You make $108,824 if you work a 41st hour and your boss refused to comply. Your boss is a criminal. That's why. And he doesn't know it because he lives in a delusional 1984. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, whoever paid beyond base salaries calculated to Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, whoever paid beyond base salaries calculated to Monmouth County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. How's that done? Please refuse to comply so I can continue to be on YouTube. And then when I contact the United States Attorney for Western District, James P. Kennedy Jr., and he gets all these documents, I'll have the transcript. I'll say I'm demanding information from them, and they're refusing. And then, as you're refusing to provide me information, and in my case, since you refuse to provide information, everything that you say, every word, every syllable, every sound, any public employees has no credibility because you can't even follow the law that I have in my hands. How are you going to object to anything that I say in my case in these concoctions for me? Attempted assault, petty larceny, trespassing, lie. When you refuse to provide information, such as what's the name of the two employees that hid in the bushes on the private property of my neighbor that lives across the street from here, 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Your neighbors, your fanatics, Todd Baxter, walked onto the private property of my neighbor and hid in the bushes, waiting for me to come outside. Hid in her bushes. Waiting for me. What are their names? And you'll refuse to tell me their names. Cost of tax, Freedom of Information Law. Cost of taxpayers of Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter expending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I'm demanding to know if you have sexual harassment at the sheriff's office going on right now. And that's the way you certify that that's happening. Same thing for you, Sandra Doorley. You're snakes in suits. Are you snakes in suits sexually harassing innocent citizens in the district attorney's office? What's going on with your snakes in suits, Sandra Doorley? Freedom of Information Law. The cost of taxpayers of Monmouth County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. What's a surveillance device? Sheriff Todd Baxter, because you bought one and it fixed it, the 2025 Penview Road, and that's it right there. Isn't that right, Elliot Roth? Did you work there? How much did you pay for it? You're refusing to send me that image, that first image that I'm demanding. Send me that first image and tell me how much you paid for this device. Because when I contact the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, I want to be able to say, this is what this fanatic, degenerate, sociopath Todd Baxter spent to buy this camera called a surveillance device from me when these parasites, Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah, went to your office by me walking through a parking lot. It is so ludicrous for you to entertain Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah about me walking through a parking lot that Penfield High School students walk through, my neighbors walk through, people in Penfield walk through all day long. After the fireworks at Harris Whalen Park 2 years in a row, 2018 and 2019, I personally saw 500 people walk through that parking lot. How do you allow these parasites to descend on me in the concoction of a crime? How do you put that device in that building? How do you use a civilian like Steve Desmond to call Shannon Meyer and 5 of your fanatics here, 6 of you are here that day for me, 6 of you was standing on my front lawn for me just walking outside to tell a guy in his tractor nobody owns the land next to my residence. And it was all concocted by you. You're sitting around at your office trying to get me to come out of the house. And you're using this Steve Desmond as civilian. You're telling Elliot Roth, because he says to me, you're going to be arrested. I don't know what he's talking about. You're using civilians. These Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shams saying I should be arrested. Steve Desmond is a civilian. He calls your fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths to my resident. Elliot Ross says to me, you're going to be arrested. I don't know what he's talking about. It's civilian. Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah, these parasites, 2 civilians. Civilian after civilian after civilian after civilian involved in this concoction of a crime for me. How often do you, Todd Baxter, use civilians in a concoction of a crime for an innocent citizen? How's your wetsuits at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Party switching, bald-headed, saying anything fraud, Todd Baxter. Freedom of Information Law. The cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, photographed 10 public employees underwater in a pool. Training exercise. A joke. How do you have your employees underwater in a pool like this? How do you do this to the taxpayers? It's a training exercise. That's done on the time of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Who are these guys? That's the other thing. You know who they are, right? I'm going to include this in the 500 plus pages that I send your office. Who are they? They had to be talking about this, and they're proud of it. Guess what we did? These guys, these 10 employees in their wetsuits that work for you, when they got done with this joke, they were talking about it. You had to hire a photographer. From where? How much did you pay the photographer? You had to have somebody put the American flag here in the background because they obviously think that they're deeply patriotic being underwater in a pool, your employees, Todd Baxter. Now, Todd, what I want to know, are you down here? Are you one of these 10 employees here, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Because I can't see the faces. So are you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, underwater here in the pool? Are you the one, Sheriff Todd Baxter, who supervised your 10 employees underwater in the pool? Is this you right here, Todd? Are you the one right here in the middle? That's what I want to know. I did not laugh. I really tried not to laugh when I said that, and I succeeded. Ryan Fisher, speaking of laughing, I'm going to try not to laugh with this one, too. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia, February 3rd, 2019, with his canine dog, Lola. Here's Ryan Fisher and Lola at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2019. Now, what I would like to know, Ryan, have you played in a previous Super Bowl? Has your dog, your German Shepherd Lola, played in a previous Super Bowl? Because as you know, the great Super Bowl champions like Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw, who've each won 4 Super Bowls, when they get to the Super Bowl, they have played once before. So since you're down here, Ryan, in Atlanta, with your canine dog Lola for the Super Bowl, have you played in a previous Super Bowl with Lola? That's what I want to know. I mean, were you in the great Super Bowl 25? And everybody remembers that if you're a Bills fan. I still won that game. That's heartbreaking, of course, but I digress. So were you, did you play in Super Bowl 25? Was that you? Ryan, were you there? Tell me. I want to know if you, Ryan Fisher, and Lola played in that Super Bowl with the great Hall of Famer Jim Kelly. To tweet, and you want people to know about it. You're tweeting. You got your Twitter account there. Isn't that right, Kathleen Miller, Michael Radler, William Tadeo, Scott Alberti? You're tweeting about your employee, Ryan Fisher. Ryan, did you write this tweet? That's what I want to. Did you just write this tweet and send it back to your Jonestown so they can talk about, your deeply heroic service here with your dog, Lola? Because you told somebody to take a picture. I'm going to do you, Ryan, real quick like I did previously. I'm Ryan Fisher. I work for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Here's my camera. Can you please take my picture of me and my dog, Lola? And then after you take my picture, I'm going to send it back to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office where they're going to put it on their Twitter account, talk about how I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Which, the flag of Atlanta, Georgia doesn't look like the beautiful flag of New York with its Latin motto, Excelsior. Because the flag of Georgia, they had to change it. And there was a reason why the flag of Georgia, Ryan, and Todd was changed in 2003. Because prior to 2003, this is what it looked like, the stars and bars, the official symbol of a redneck. So Ryan, were you made an honorary redneck when you were down there in Georgia? That's what I want to know. How red was your neck, Ryan Fisher, when you're standing in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium with dog Lola? What are the physical training standards requirements at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with Todd Baxter? Weight problems for your public employees. You need to tell your public employees to lay off the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the pizza. I saw one of them canned pizza a couple months back. There he is, walks right there in his uniform. He could have been off duty, of course. But there he is, chowing down on pizza, and he was overweight. I'm sitting there eating pizza at the Great Cam's, and there's one of your whack jobs next to me, overweight, chowing down on pizza. That's how I got the idea, incidentally, about the physical training stands. I saw this guy at Cam's. Because I was thinking about it. And then when I saw him, your overweight employee in Cam's sitting right next to me, I was like, oh, I'm going to include that in freedom of information laws. You can't miss your employees, Todd. They're everywhere. You're a cancer on Monroe County, just like you bald-headed criminal. You're a cancer on Monroe County, Todd Baxter. Speaking of a cancer, this is proof of it right here. Why you're a cancer, a $0 employee. $0 employee. The day and year Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter rehired Michael Rather after his 20-plus year career with the Sheriff's Office. Have you paid any Michael Rather going to Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Because on the payroll that I have here, you were at $0. Why? Are you paid any sum of money from any organization, any institution, especially one Sheriff Todd Baxter has access to? Because you are paid private money to go into the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. That is news in Monroe County for the Democrat Chronicle and the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York. Tell me your name, and you're refusing to tell me this name. I demand two names, Sandra Doorley. Perry, send me the names of these two prosecutors, each that did not talk in Penfield Town Court. What's going to be the problem with that, Perry? Perry Duckles, send me these two names. Freedom of information law, documentation for the case of Christian child before John P. Lomenzo Jr. Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? It's a female. She stood there at the podium, looked away like that. Total silence. I'm looking at her because I'm going to interrupt her once she accuses me of a crime. Telling a guy in his tractor that nobody owns that land and walk back to my house 60 a year. That's what I was going to say. If she started to talk and then the proceeding ends and then the handcuffs go on, I'm on my knees. Andrew Realities, they would charge me with harassment seconds in the backseat of the vehicle, and I go to Monroe County Jail. You know what I'm not told when I'm at Monroe County Jail? How long I'm going to be there. Just like when I was in Livingston County as an innocent man. Again, I'm demanding over and over and over, how long am I going to be here? And then when I asked my public defender, Christina Harper, when she came to see me, she says to me, the judge is holding you. This is the lunatic fringe. The judge, this is what Christina tells me. The judge, Paula Metz, was holding you. First time I didn't have a sentence. Second time I didn't have a sentence. Nobody tells me. That can be on paper, but I'm not being told. Especially the second time. The judge is holding. What do you think about that, Perry Duckles, with this bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler? The judge is holding you. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester with Paula Metz from Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? What's the name of this 5'2" three-piece suit boy? What's his name, Perry? You should be able to figure that out. You don't have a lot of employees there. Excuse me. Your office is not that big, so you should be able to locate Junior. So go find Propeller Hat Junior, Perry, and tell me his name. You're going to refuse to comply with every single one that I just read. Every single one. You're going to refuse to comply on December 4th. December 4th. You received it on December 2nd. What I just read to you, received on December 2nd. What I just read to you, you received on November 30th. What I just read to you, you received on November 15th, November 17th, November 19th, November 21st, November 23rd, November 25th, November 28th, at 30 minutes of this YouTube. So, since November 15th, what I just read to you, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want to be sure. 10. I believe in facts. That's why I want to be sure. Facts are alien at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office. That's 10 times since November 15th. What I just read to you, 10 times I've demanded this. 10 times. And you're going to refuse to comply with every single one. The reason why you're going to refuse to comply with everyone is you're in Jonestown. Jonestown Kool-Aid drinkers. At the district attorney's office, sheriff's office. So, walk through the parking lot. Such a joke. Hey, come on, Nayraj, again today and get ready to go do my run. Walk right through this parking lot. How come you're not going to the sheriff about anybody else but me? Because you're each mentally ill. Nayraj, a 50-year-old man living there with his mommy. I'm at the YMCA, Nayraj. You know what I'm going to say. I'm on the rowing machine. I see your mommy in the back. And she's staring right at me. And here she comes walking at me as I'm on the rowing machine. And I'm thinking, will you just please walk right by me and leave me alone? And your mommy that you live with stands in front of the rowing machine. I'm looking up at your freak show mommy. And I say to her, what's my name? You know my name. And she walks over to the YMCA employee, points at me and says, he doesn't belong at the YMCA. And the YMCA employee says to your mommy, I don't know what you're talking about. Because nobody knows what the hell your mommy, Nayraj, I was talking about. You got this, Todd Baxter. You got this, Nayraj. Harris Whalen Park. Beginning at 6 p.m. in Harris Whalen Park, the 2019 Independence Day celebration begins for the town of Penfield. This event certifies that individuals will be walking on divine concrete that you and your fellow whack jobs supervise in Penfield. 200 people walked through that parking lot in 15 minutes that I saw. How many people were arrested? So, God, $61.39. I'm walking in front of Wegmans because I was attacked and assaulted by a public employee. He lowered his shoulder, ran at me. Drove his shoulder and my head hit the concrete. I had to go to the hospital and get an MRI. Your employee attacked and assaulted me. What's his name, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Because you have 10 plus witnesses to this attack and assault upon me, and I want to press charges against your employee. Press charges. General term. He committed a crime upon me. This is a real crime. Not like your pathetic concoctions here. This is a real crime, a real assault. Not like attempted assault on my back porch. I leave my residence and walk outside my residence. Your employee's hid in the bushes, ran across the street from me. I run on my back porch. He grabs my arm. The hammer I just grabbed goes up. I pull away, go back in my house. That's how you charge me with a felony. Because you were out there walking around waiting for me to come out of my house. And what are their names? Trespassing, petty larceny, lie. From a liar sheriff. I'm 55 years old. I have always known the difference between legal and illegal, right and wrong. You do not know the difference between legal and illegal, right and wrong. How come I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona? Perry, tell me. I haven't committed a crime. Prosecutor doesn't talk in court. I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona. This is why the United States Department of Justice needs to descend upon you and your officers, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley. What are the answers to these questions that I'm asking and I'm demanding? How are you possibly going to answer all this about what you have done to me? How do you answer that? About how when I say the prosecutor doesn't talk in court and they're refusing to tell me your name, how do you answer that? When they come to your offices and they say this Christopher Chichester in Penfield is demanding the name of a prosecutor who doesn't talk and you're refusing to provide it, why? How do you possibly respond to that, Sandra Doorley, about your prosecutor who doesn't talk? Over and over and over, I've demanded this, and now it's the third time in the last week. Never heard Miranda, haven't committed a crime, prosecutor doesn't talk in court, and I'm in jail just because of two people. John P. Lomenzo Jr. and Paul Lomenzo. Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court, Sandra Doorley? Where's the jury, Perry Duckles? Why isn't there a jury? If you're going to be delivered to jail, Perry, the family members and friends, people you love and care about, what would you think about people you love and care about being delivered without a jury? It's one thing to be delivered to jail when it's just one human being that's corrupt. But if a jury of 12, at least they repaired to a room and there was deliberation, and then these 12 people decided you go to jail. That is easier to accept than one fanatic sitting there who doesn't even answer one question, like Lomenzo and Metzer. Now, one question, why am I in my court? How is it that neither one of these two even asked me, why are you here? Tell me why you're here. I don't care about courtroom procedure and how you can communicate in court. There's nothing from them. Because what they are is just a rubber stamp for your corruption, Sandra Doorley. That's all that court is. Why isn't there a jury in this court? Does that matter to you, Sandra Doorley, Perry Duckles? Doesn't matter. And then when I was asking your former employee over and over and over for the name of these prosecutors, he was refusing. You know why Kyle Steinbach lost? It's very simple. Ran for Monroe County Court, I believe it was, but he was a candidate, a 4-candidate field. And he lost because people are going to vote for him because he works in the Monroe County District Attorney's office. And I'm confident he was so delusional, he didn't even get this. Because his hatred in Monroe County for your Monroe County District Attorney's office shall put the screws to innocent citizens and abridging the civil and constitutional rights of innocent citizens. What's the name of the prosecutor who doesn't talk in my case before John P. Lomenzo Jr. first and Paula Metzel second? Tell me her name, Sandra Doorley and Perry Duckles. My name is right there. Walk through the parking lot. Hey, Raj. You outside losing your mind? Are you turning into Patrick Bateman? Are you screaming at my neighbors? This guy, Steve Desmond, this is a civilian that used to get to my residence. You called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office when I came outside for all 30 seconds to tell you toothless fellow loser at Shah and Roth don't own that land. You took your phone out immediately and there were 6 deputy fascist stooges at my house. This is the civilian, Steve Desmond. You used him. You sat down with this guy, this weed-whacking, grass-cutting loser, and you're figuring out how to concoct this crime for me. There's no response from him. I don't know what you're talking about, Chris Chichester. Steve Desmond, Bracolo Tree and Lawn Care, called your office because your employees, Todd Baxter, met with them. There's real crime in Monroe County. Violent crime in Monroe County. You, your employees are meeting with this weed-whacking, grass-cutting loser to determine how you can get me to come out of the house so the handcuffs can go on me on my front lawn just for telling his fellow weed-whacking, grass-cutting loser that nobody owns that land. What would you think if they're at your residence 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, Todd the fascist stooge? Because I believe Mrs. Fascist Stooge wouldn't want to be woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Civilian you used to get to my residence. Nothing from him when I sent this. He signed for that, too. Not one word. It's about Shannon Meyer. She will crash land on her face before she reaches the front door, just like she crash landed on her face in my backyard. Crash landed on her face. Shannon Meyer comes to my residence, runs in the backyard, right on her face. Are you falling down on the job too, Todd the fascist stooge? When you walk into your office at 130 South Plymouth Avenue, are you doing a full gainer right there in your office? Huh? Are you falling down on the job just like Shannon Meyer, Todd the fascist stooge? That's what I want to know. Such a joke, a disgrace, a collection of buffoons, fanatics, degenerates. May 16, 2019. This is one of the first ones I sent to you, Freedom of Information Law. May 16, 2019, you ignored it. That's to you, too. That'll be in the documents that I will include 500 pages. So, oh, yeah. I adopted my little guy from Lollipop Farm Humane Society, my Shih Tzu, in 2012. My then girlfriend, Lauren, and I were interviewed before we adopted. When you go to Lollipop Farm to adopt a dog, you have to have Lauren and I approved. All I'm doing is walking my dog on this property. This is what Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah sent to me. 4,000 times I've been back here. And this is not a document that proves anything, Nayraj. Send it to me, Nayraj. And you're going to be demanding I should be arrested just because it's YouTube. Isn't that right? That's why I'm making it. Because I want you to get on the phone and demand that I should be arrested because you're so predictable in that hatred that consumes you each, Layla Kumar and Nairaj. You're going to get on the phone the minute you finish watching this. Test it. I'm trying to provoke you into it. That's what I'm doing because I'm exercising my First Amendment right. And in exercising my First Amendment right, that's going to provoke you, Todd, the fascist stooge, to get caught another crime. And you're going to be here either today, tomorrow, soon, in the next 72 hours. There's no doubt about it. I'm walking my dog the same way 4,000 times. This land has no ownership. The back window from this repulsive Shaw law firm flies open. I'd like to know who their clients are. Because who the hell would ever want to hire you, Nairaj and Layla Kumar? Where's the United States of America on a map, Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah? And when I ask that question, it's because of what I'm about to say right now. All I'm doing is walking my little guy. Your employee's screaming out the window. I come back in here. I go over there to talk to you to say, why is your employee screaming? You don't even want to talk to me. I come back in because you already called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. There's 2 of Todd Baxter's fanatics on my front lawn with animal control demanding my dog. Nobody calls me. You want to come here, and this is why people despise the police, because you're here to exercise power over me for just walking my dog. Because your employees, the 2 that are at my door, have this vile disposition where they want to take my dog and then go and tell their fellow fanatics at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. We went to this guy's house, this Chris Chichester, and we demanded his dog, and we got his dog. They want that satisfaction for that power. This is why people hate the police. Why don't you just call me? Take my little guy. I'm going to tell you a fact of life, Todd. People love their dogs. Again, why you're a fanatic, a degenerate, a sociopath. Do you understand that people love their dogs? People love their dogs as much as their family members. And so, Leah Rolk is in here. It's the search warrant. Blue gloves. Where's my Chromebook? It tore the whole place apart. Tore the whole place apart here with Leela Rogue. Who's Leela Rogue, Todd Baxter? Who is this woman in her blue gloves? Proof by affidavit? What's the affidavit? Perry Duckles. Proof by affidavit? What's that mean? I'm going to be demanding the proof by affidavit. I'm confident it doesn't exist. And if it exists, it's laughable. Proof by affidavit gets you in here to talk to my landlord, Giuseppe and Nino Spano. Proof by affidavit. What a joke. Where is it? Send it to me. My name is Christopher Chichester. I'm 55 years old. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and I had never committed a crime.